Hello, everyone. This is Cody Lee of BlackCatBooks.org, author of I, the Dragon, Cool and Beautiful Rabbit Hole King, D.L. Lauren Frey, and the upcoming Jaw the Dragon. So, last night I made a video talking about EA Games and how they lost the FIFA license, and I got a lot of comments regarding EA and how they totally haven't been trying to fuck Nintendo over since the '90s, which is really hilarious to me, considering you can Google their their uh, their game library on Switch. Like right now, let's see. Yeah, and see just what they've released on Nintendo Switch, right? Like basically absolutely nothing. Like basically a bunch of re-releases and late ports of a sports games. For those of you who aren't aware, FIFA, right? This is all you really need to look at to get a general idea of what's wrong with EA support on Switch. FIFA, right? We all know how sports games work, where like you get an annual release that like changes the roster and like updates the teams to like more adequately fit that season, and just kind of like keep up to date with like minor improvements. Like basically, they're basically the same game, but with DLC patches to modernize it, essentially, right? Like it's the easiest fucking thing in the world to port. Like the last PS2 game ever, I believe, was a FIFA game. Like I want to say like it was FIFA 14 or some shit like that. They were pumping that shit out in like third world countries forever. Like like FIFA games like this are very well known for being released on a wide range of platforms, right? They should be available in every sense, like on everything, with little to no effort, and yet somehow FIFA, the most popular sports game in the world, has not gotten good ports on Switch. Instead, we get like legacy editions. Essentially, what happens is that they release FIFA 19 in like 2022 with like updated character rosters, missing modes, missing features, all this stuff to incentivize players to buy the real version on Xbox and PlayStation. They seem to have been doing this for a long time. It's very, very noticeable. Like anyone serious about FIFA gets it on a PlayStation and Xbox. So I think a lot of people don't really notice this. I myself wasn't aware of this until I started researching what was happening with this series. But basically, you get vastly outdated versions of FIFA on Switch just because it's the Switch. It's noticeable if you compare the versions, if you've been paying attention, if you've been following along with this, and like the argument will always be that like the Switch just can't run it. Like it's just too difficult. But that simply isn't true. Like what exactly does FIFA do that would make it impossible to run on Switch? Like essentially nothing. Like, are you really going to say that like Switch can't run FIFA's? No. Like these games are, I'm sure, are still getting released on that last gen consoles. Like fuck, I think I've heard of. I think they might still be coming out on like Xbox 360 or some shit. Honestly, like it's bizarre to me to think that like this is a power issue, and like I've said this about like a wide range of titles before, of franchises before, of like back in the Mass Effect the Wii U days when EA released Mass Effect 3 like on Wii U, like immediately before releasing like the entire trilogy on like other consoles. Like clearly, these are attempts at sabotaging the releases to justify to their shareholders why they don't support Nintendo consoles. Like all the companies have to do this to kind of justify why they don't really give any attention to like the most popular video game platform in the world. But it's weird to like look back on this, like to see this IP that I really don't care about. In fact, I kind of wish all sports just go away, honestly. Uh, to see this IP that I clearly don't care about, right, and see how badly it's been botched, right, like on Nintendo console. Like if I was a FIFA fan, if I was into soccer, right, if I was still like, I don't know, into that sort of thing, like, yeah, I would be angry. I would be livid. I would not support FIFA on other consoles. But I suppose if you just want FIFA, like you'll just get a PlayStation or an Xbox. And in the end, that's exactly what EA wanted you to do until they lost the license. So again, please understand, like I'm not bullshitting you when I say that companies like EA are have been trying to sabotage Nintendo consoles for decades now. Like it's an observable phenomenon. It's been happening for years. They've been making excuses to not put out games for all sorts of reasons forever now, and this is just another example of that.